The Empire thought Earth was weak. They scanned our cities, they counted our weapons, they measured our technology. What they didn't measure was what we buried. When they declared war on Earth, humanity didn't answer with fleets. We answered with a relic of doom. Intro the galaxy had rules, civilizations rose, empires expanded. Weak worlds were absorbed or erased. Earth was supposed to be next. To the Empire, humanity was loud, divided, and dangerously emotional, a species that fought itself more than any enemy. They believed that made us fragile. They were wrong. Because long before humanity ever reached the stars, we learned a terrible lesson. The universe does not forgive weakness. So we prepared. Not with hope, not with diplomacy, but with something we swore we would never use unless extinction itself came knocking. And when the Empire attacked Earth, that promise woke up. They declared war on Earth the way one swats an insect. No ceremony, no warning. Just a cold transmission injected into every human satellite, every surviving relay station, every piece of technology capable of receiving it. By order of the Galactic Dominion, Earth is hereby designated a hostile world compliance window. Expired for most species, that message would have been the end. For humanity, it was a reminder. A reminder that the universe was exactly as cruel as they had always feared. The Dominion had studied Earth for decades. They knew humans were violent. They knew humans were clever. They knew humans fought among themselves more than with outsiders. What they did not understand was why. To the Dominion, internal conflict meant weakness. A fractured species could never stand against an empire that had erased thousands of worlds. Their models predicted collapse within hours. They were correct, just not in the way they expected. The first wave hit without mercy. Orbital platforms disintegrated under focused energy strikes. Defense grids failed before they fully powered up. Entire fleets, assembled in desperation, were erased in seconds. Human commanders watched red icons vanish from their screens faster than they could issue orders. Fall back, regroup, pull everything planetside. It didn't matter. The Dominion wasn't fighting Earth's military. They were dismantling Earth's future. Power stations vanished. Data centers burned. Cities went dark. Across the planet, the same realization spread at once. This wasn't conquest. This was eradication. And yet beneath the panic, beneath the screaming alarms and collapsing infrastructure, something older stirred. Not in response to fear, but to thresholds. Deep below Earth's surface, far beneath oceans and fault lines, systems that had not been powered in centuries detected conditions they were built to recognize. Planetary casualty rate, escalating civilization collapse probability, critical. The systems did not ask who was at fault. They did not debate morality. They only asked one question humanity had hard-coded into them long ago. Is extinction imminent? Another orbital strike vaporized a megacity. The answer changed. On the Dominion flagship, Supreme Commander Vierx observed Earth's burning hemisphere with detached satisfaction. A primitive world, he said. No planetary shield. No coherent resistance. His advisors agreed, until the data began to behave strangely. Commander, a sensor officer said slowly, the planet's gravitational field is shifting. Vierx turned. Clarify, it's not random, it's structured. Another voice cut in tense now. Energy readings detected beneath the crust, global, coordinated. Vierx frowned. That's impossible. Their civilization is barely spacefaring. The officer swallowed. Then, whatever this is, isn't from this civilization. The relic did not wake violently, it woke carefully. Layer by layer, systems that humanity had sworn never to use again came online. Not because they wanted to, but because they had planned for the day wanting no longer mattered. The day when survival outweighed fear. The day when mercy became a luxury. Deep inside the relic, a directive unlocked. Failsafe authorization confirmed humanity's status. Endangered for the first time since it was sealed away, the relic extended its awareness beyond Earth. It looked at the Dominion fleet. And it remembered why it had been built. High above the planet, Dominion ships continued their assault, unaware that they had just crossed a line humanity had drawn long before it ever reached the stars. A line written not in law, but in dread. The relic did not announce itself. There was no explosion, no beam of light cutting through the clouds. Instead, the universe around Earth began to misbehave. Dominion sensors recalibrated automatically, then failed. Physics constants drifted just enough to trigger alarms without explanation. Distances stretched. Time stamps desynchronized. "What is happening?" Supreme Commander Vierks demanded. No one answered immediately. Because for the first time in Dominion history, their instruments were giving them too much data, and none of it agreed. Deep beneath Earth's surface, the Relic expanded its awareness. It was not a single machine. It was a distributed system, threaded through the planet's mantle, anchored to fault lines, submerged beneath oceans, hidden inside mountains humanity had never fully explored. It had been built in fear, not fear of aliens, fear of ourselves. Humanity had known, even before first contact, that if they ever faced an enemy too vast, too merciless, they might be tempted to become something worse in order to survive. So they sealed that temptation underground and prayed they would never need it. The Relic reviewed the situation in microseconds. Orbital superiority lost. Casualty rate accelerating. Projected survival curve collapsing. Extinction probability 91.4%. That number mattered, because once it crossed 90, humanity's final authorization became valid. The Relic did not ask permission. Humanity had already given it centuries ago. Above Earth, the Dominion fleet continued its assault. Precision strikes carved glowing scars across continents. Power grids collapsed. Atmospheric disturbances spread like shockwaves. To the Dominion, it looked like victory. To the Relic, it looked like confirmation. The planet's magnetic field shifted sharply. Auroras erupted across the globe, violent, geometric, wrong. Not shimmering curtains of light, but rigid arcs, locking into place like parts of a colossal mechanism. Dominion pilots stared out their viewports in confusion. "Commander, the planet's field strength just tripled." Another voice followed, tight, afraid. "Our ships are experiencing mass fluctuation." "Minor but synchronized." Vierks's crest flattened. "Synchronized with what?" No one answered. Then the first ship lost maneuvering control, not catastrophically, subtly. Thrusters fired, but the ship drifted sideways, responding to forces that were not supposed to exist. "What kind of weapon does this?" Vierks demanded. The science cast hesitated. "That's the problem," the scientist said slowly. "It's not a weapon." The Relic reached outward, not aggressively, curiously. It mapped every Dominion vessel, every power signature, every command node, then layered that data over historical simulations of human warfare. It found something familiar: centralized command. Rigid doctrine, predictable escalation paths, the same mistakes humans had once made. The Relic adjusted. Without warning, space around Earth folded inward, not violently, precisely. A Dominion cruiser vanished, no explosion, no debris, no energy spike, just absence, a hole where mass had been. "Confirmed destruction," Vierks barked. Sensors showed nothing. Because there was nothing left to sense. Another ship disappeared, then another. Panic spread across the fleet. Weapons fired blindly into empty space. Missiles lost target lock mid-flight, guidance systems overridden by mathematical patterns no Dominion AI could interpret. "This is not combat," an officer shouted. "This is containment," the word echoed. Containment. Vierks finally understood. They had not attacked a defended planet. They had triggered a failsafe. Deep beneath Earth, the Relic prepared its next phase. It did not hate the Dominion. It did not rage. It simply recognized a threat humanity had always feared, an enemy that would not stop. So the Relic chose the only response humans trusted when survival was on the line. Finality. The Dominion fleet broke, not all at once, but inevitably. Escape orders rippled through command channels that no longer fully obeyed. Hyperdrive spools charged, then stalled, their calculations collapsing into paradox as spacetime itself refused to open. Earth was not jamming them. Earth was deciding. Supreme Commander Vierks watched his empire's greatest armada stall in orbit of a single world, a world they had dismissed as primitive. "How is this possible?" he whispered. The answer came without sound. The Relic completed its activation. Across Earth, ancient systems synchronized into a planetary lattice, gravity anchors locking into place, energy flows stabilizing into patterns so precise they appeared almost gentle. This was not fury, this was control. The Relic did not seek annihilation, it sought memory. One by one, Dominion ships were neutralized, not destroyed, rendered inert, power cores shut down. Weapons systems locked permanently. Command AIs overwritten with recursive loops they could never escape. Every vessel was left intact, drifting, helpless, alive. The Relic wanted survivors. Survivors tell stories. A signal spread across the fleet. Not words, not images. A sequence, prime numbers, universal constants. A pattern no intelligent species could misinterpret. This world ENDURES this species prepares do not return the message repeated until every surviving Dominion mind understood it. On Earth, the sky slowly cleared. The auroras faded. The ground stilled. Humanity emerged from shelters, staring upward at a planet that still lived. Cities were gone. Millions were dead, but extinction had been denied, not by heroism, not by courage. By something humanity had built when it finally accepted a terrible truth. If monsters exist, someone must be able to stop them, even if that someone frightens us. Deep underground, the Relic powered down, not fully, never fully. Its final calculation concluded. Threat neutralized galactic deterrence, established it returned to silence, not sleep, watchfulness. Across the galaxy, Dominion survivors fled. They carried no trophies, no victory records, only fear. They spoke of a planet that did not shout its strength. Of a species that hid its worst weapons from itself. Of a world that endured an empire and did not break. A new rule spread among the stars, quiet, urgent, absolute. Never force humanity to remember why it fears itself. Because when humans are cornered, they don't fight to win. They fight to end the war forever.